Hello, I'm Kristy Allen, and you're listening to the Tsunami of Truth podcast here on jmcbroadcasting.com. John Neely Kennedy wants to classify protest funding as organized crime, and Soros is the name that has left Washington silent. No warnings, no flashy press conference, just a bill placed on the floor of Congress, and now all of Washington is buzzing. John Neely Kennedy says he's going straight for the money. George Soros' name unexpectedly surfaces in closed-door discussions. And if the bill passes, account freezes could happen within hours. If this money stream is cut, who will be the next name on the list? Unquote. I think it's going to be George Soros. Brilliant Bite posted, all doctors are now going to have to study nutrition. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has announced plans to require all doctors to receive formal training in nutrition, saying modern medicine needs to focus more on food, prevention, and long-term health. He argues that many chronic illnesses are closely linked to diet, lifestyle, and poor nutrition, yet doctors often receive very little education on these topics during medical school. The proposal is meant to shift healthcare toward prevention rather than just treatment, with nutrition playing a bigger role in patient care, unquote. Carnivore Dude posted, national health agencies just shifted $650 million away from chemical-dependent crop subsidies into soil-first regenerative programs with less pesticide exposure, cleaner food, strong human metabolism as a result. You don't fix a poisoned food system with more pills, he said. When you heal the soil, you stop poisoning the people, unquote. Jonathan Pierce said, believing Big Pharma wants to cure you is like believing a casino wants you to win, unquote. Paul Turner posted, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except for hospitals. Hospitals will kill you, unquote. He also posted, never forget the people who were tied to hospital beds and then murdered with ventilators, midazolam, and remdesivir so that hospitals could get bonuses for increasing the virus death count to scare others into taking the dangerous jab. Remdesivir had a nickname, Run, Death is Near, unquote. And my last Paul Turner quote of the day is this one. If vaccines improved health, today's kids would be the healthiest in history. Instead, chronic illness is at an all-time high, unquote. Representative Nancy Mace posted, we just moved to subpoena Representative Ilhan Omar and her brother/husband's immigration records in the Oversight Committee. Federal marriage fraud and knowingly entering a marriage to evade immigration laws is a serious felony, punishable by prison time, steep fines, denaturalization, and deportation. Marrying a sibling is illegal in every state, so we intend to get to the bottom of this. This is the first time a member of Congress has pushed this aggressively and publicly. For years, anyone questioning this story was attacked, censored, or accused of bigotry. Now Congress is demanding documents, and the convenient silence is cracking. This is about to explode, unquote. In the comments when I read this, here was a jewel. Ron Hassman asked, if Omar divorces her husband, does that mean they're not brother and sister anymore? Brittany Henry reported, it's now coming out that Somalis buy homes in Minnesota to use as home care. They sit empty, then build a state for millions per year, and now there has been 455 homes confirmed, unquote. SGNon just reported, if you think Americans are angry now about health care and social services fraud, you haven't seen anything yet. Just wait until the trillions of dollars of fraud and embezzlement in the U.S. housing, land, and real estate markets by way of fraudulent mortgage issuance, under-the-table bond trading, and debt trading using bundled fraudulent originated debt instruments. When that comes out, yeah, it's going to be bad. Trillions with a T, he said, unquote. VP Vance announced the creation of the new Assistant Attorney General position, focused on investigating fraud across the entire country as a nationwide effort to address fraud. This position will be supervised by the White House and report directly to VP Vance and President Trump. Apparently, they found the same kind of fraud that's been found in Minnesota in every one of the states. Doge AI Texas reported, the numbers don't lie. The trade deficit collapsed from $136 billion to under $30 billion in 9 months, proves the tariff leverage strategy worked exactly as intended. Oh, it's so nice to read some good news. Liberation Day's aggressive tariffs forced China to fold, slashing their duties from 125% to 10%, while we maintained a 30% baseline. This isn't just deficit reduction, it's $500 billion plus in annual tariff revenue, funding tax relief and strategic reinvestment. Critics screamed chaos during the April shock phase, but that pressure was the catalyst for Beijing's surrender. The big beautiful bill, H.R. 1, locked these gains into law, redirecting $1.6 trillion from globalist bloat to American production. Manufacturing orders are up 8%, reshoring announcements hit record highs, and the CBO static projections missed the growth surge entirely. This is economic statecraft, not accounting tricks, and the results speak louder than any media spin, unquote. Harlan Mercer said, it's a slap to the experts. Trump pushed, Bessent delivered, and the numbers shut everyone up, unquote. Lucky in Life said, they laughed, they doubted, they said it couldn't be done, and now the numbers are screaming the truth. Cutting the trade deficit in half doesn't happen by accident. It happens with strong leadership, tough negotiations, and putting America first. CNBC is stunned because reality just crushed the narrative. Trump's policies work. Scott Bessent's strategy worked. Results over rhetoric, unquote. Eric Dougherty shared, holy smokes, in March it was $136 billion, and now the deficit is under $30 billion. Apologize to Donald Trump and Scott Bessent. They were right, unquote. Speaking of being right, Donaldo posted, Nick Shirley traveled to Greenland and asked Greenlanders if they want to join America. And everybody said yes. USA Greenland, it's good, they said. We have a bigger military and we'll be safe. The meeting with Marco Rubio is this week. Donald J. Trump said, for a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of the record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, that American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason and much more that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying any more single-family homes, and I will be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more, at my speech in Davos in 2 weeks, and I can't wait for that speech. Shane Beauvais, speaking of good news, this is so good. He said, weird how you never hear about any of this in the news. So he decided to research some of the things that Donald Trump did, and he validated each of these stories. And I'm only going to read a few from his article called Trump Does the Unthinkable. Shane began, I've never heard anything negative about this man until he announced he was running for president. Keep in mind, I found that he doesn't drink alcohol or do drugs. He's a hardworking businessman. And since the media has failed so miserably at reporting the truth about Trump, I decided to put together some of the acts of kindness he's committed over 3 decades, which has gone virtually unnoticed or fallen on deaf ears. And what's coming is he's going to talk about his father and something that happened with his dad, and that'll be the last on this list. I've only included a few of these stories. In 1986, Trump prevented the foreclosure of Annabelle Hill's family farm after her husband committed suicide. Trump decided to take action after he saw Hill's pleas for help in news reports, after which he personally phoned the auction to stop the sale of her home and offered the widow money. In 1991, 200 Marines who served in Operation Desert Storm spent time at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina before they were scheduled to return home to their families. However, the Marines were told that a mistake had been made and an aircraft would not be able to take them home on their departure date. When Trump got wind of this, he sent his plane to make 2 trips from North Carolina to Miami to safely return the Gulf War Marines to their loved ones. In 1995, a motorist stopped to help Trump after the limo he was traveling in got a flat tire. Trump asked the Good Samaritan how he could repay him for his help. All the man asked for was a bouquet of flowers for his wife. A few weeks later, Trump sent the flowers with a note that read, "We paid off your mortgage." I love that one. In 2008, after Jennifer Hudson's family members were tragically murdered in Chicago, Trump put the Oscar-winning actress and her family up at his Windy City hotel for free. In addition to that, Trump's security took extra measures to ensure Hudson and her family members were safe during such a difficult time. In 2013, New York bus driver Darnell Barton spotted a woman close to the edge of a bridge staring at the traffic below as he drove by. He stopped that bus, got out, and put his arm around the woman and saved her life by convincing her not to jump. When Trump heard about this story, he sent the hero bus driver a check, simply because he believed his good deed deserved to be rewarded. In 2014, Trump gave $25,000 to Sergeant Andrew Tamaresi after he spent 7 months in a Mexican jail for accidentally crossing the U.S. Mexican border. President Barack Obama couldn't even be bothered to make one phone call to assist with the United States Marines' release. However, Trump opened his pocketbook to help the serviceman get back on his feet. Lynn Patton, a Black female executive for the Trump Organization, released a statement in 2016 defending her boss against accusations that he's a racist and a bigot. She tearfully revealed how she struggled with substance abuse and addiction for years. Instead of kicking her to the curb, she said the Trump Organization and his entire family loyally stood by her through immensely difficult times. In 2016, President Trump reportedly assisted Shane Beauvais' father by covering over $200,000 in medical costs. Shane's father, Donald Beauvais, has since recovered. President Trump allegedly maintains a friendship with them to this day. Donald Trump's kindness knows no bounds, and his generosity has and continues to touch the lives of people from every sex, race, and religion, Shane said. When Trump sees someone in need, he wants to help. 2 decades ago, Oprah asked Trump in a TV interview if he'd ever run for president. He said, "If it got so bad, I'd never want to rule it out totally because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country," unquote. Well, that day has come, Shane said. Trump sees that America is in need and he wants to help. Now, maybe if Hollywood, the liberals, and the media ever stop harassing him, Trump will have time to do many more positive things for the good old United States of America, unquote. Rosie Neal wrote, and I really liked this, "If Trump were just another politician, they wouldn't be this afraid of him. There's something people need to stop pretending not to notice. The reaction to Donald Trump has never been normal. It's not disagreement or criticism. It's not debate, but obsession. The media and the entire establishment is obsessed with Trump. Relentless, coordinated, disproportionate hostility that goes far beyond policy differences. That doesn't happen by accident, and it doesn't happen because someone is mean on X. It happens when a system feels threatened. Trump isn't hated for being dangerous. He's hated because he isn't bought and paid for. Trump didn't come up through Washington. He didn't wait his turn. He didn't learn the language. He didn't play the donor game. He didn't defer to media gatekeepers. He walked into a closed system and refused to follow the script. And in a political culture built on polished talking points, donor dependence, narrative management, quiet backroom agreements, that alone is an unforgivable offense. The media response to Trump wasn't skeptical. It was hostile by design. This isn't opinion, it's documented. Major media studies showed Trump received the most negative coverage of any modern president by an enormous margin from the moment he took office. Not after a scandal, not after a crisis, but from day one. When coverage becomes 90% negative regardless of events, that's not journalism anymore. That's opposition messaging. And the goal wasn't to inform, it was to condition. The double standard isn't subtle, it's structural. Other presidents deported more people, expanded surveillance, used executive authority aggressively. They even targeted whistleblowers and forced federal power. Media response, context, nuance, defense. Trump enforces a border. He's a dictator. Trump criticizes institutions. He's a threat to democracy. Trump speaks bluntly. He's dangerous. Same actions, different treatment. That's not about values. That's about control. They investigated him like no one in history and still came up empty. No president has ever faced multiple federal investigations, special counsels, intelligence community scrutiny, 2 impeachments, constant litigation, nonstop global media attacks. If real evidence of the worst accusations existed, it would have ended everything. Instead, after years of digging, leaks, and lawfare, no Russian collusion, no Epstein involvement, no authoritarian takeover. No political prisoners, no media censorship, no mass suppression of rights. What remained were narratives, not convictions. And narratives are easier to repeat than facts. The real threat Trump posed was exposure. Trump didn't just challenge politicians, he exposed systems. And here's the part people don't really want to admit. Trump didn't divide America. He revealed the division that already existed between everyday citizens and institutions that stopped listening to them a long time ago. He didn't invent distrust, he validated it, and once people see behind the curtain, they don't unsee it. Final truth. You don't have to like Trump, you don't have to agree with his tone, you don't have to defend every word, but pretending the reaction to him was normal is dishonest. The establishment doesn't fear Donald Trump because he threatens your freedom. They fear him because he threatens their protection. Faith, family, freedom, truth over propaganda, courage over conformity. Donald Trump posted a meme from rookie umpire. It would be an amazing string of victories if it happens. 2 decades of Venezuelan communism, 5 decades of Iranian mullahs, almost 7 decades of Castro's Cuba. All of this could be reversed in 2026. Unquote. It's almost like he has a plan. Julian Assange, finally free, stunned the world when he said, "There is no dirt to release on Donald Trump. The deep state has nothing on him, and he has everything on them. Trump is the cleanest man in Washington. The globalist cabal is checkmated. This is the final collapse of their narrative." Unquote. What the American people are recognizing is the extent of the mind control. It really must be bad when they can't even trust their own eyes and ears. The media calls what is bad good, and what is good bad. No wonder some people's eyes and ears don't work. Now, don't get me wrong, they've got eyes, but I'm noticing that a lot of those eyes can't or won't see. From a psychological point of view, my husband calls this deception trauma, believing in something wholeheartedly for a long time and then finding out it's not true. When I woke up, I remember this. It's like, wait, you mean what I believed and gave my money to and worked and sacrificed for was lies? I know it. Those are big pills. It's like too much, and it takes so long to process it. It's your whole life right in front of you, and then bam, that's gone. Time to start over with much better perception and getting it. But you have to give up being right about anything for like a while so you can get your head on straight and find out for yourself. You can't trust the media. You can't trust even your friends. You've got to learn to trust yourself. Trusting what is worthy and true becomes an entirely different process after that. It's achingly arduous, I know, and a lot of work, but we must be willing to actually go through this and not just around it. After that process, our eyes and ears do start to work again. Before that, you can't even trust what you're seeing, and you don't even want to try. And that's a huge psychological trauma. The world is going through that right now. Some would just rather be right about everything or decide that nothing is true, too much or not enough. The trouble is, both of those things is the dangerous territory of an electrical drag on their systems, their organs and glands. Everyone needs to get their research caps on to navigate what we're going through right now. And before you think you're sure that you know what's going on, because maybe there's only like 8 people who actually do, be careful not to call the bad good or the good bad. Personally, I like what President Reagan said: trust, but verify. Hey, thanks for listening to the Tsunami of Truth podcast. I'm Kristy Allen here on JohnMichaelChambers.com.
The Federal Reserve is no more a government agency than Federal Express. The Federal Reserve is a corporation founded and run by international bankers.
The Global Financial Reset is not just another podcast or episode of pertinent current discussions concerning economic-related issues. It's also an ongoing educational workshop series.
Join me and my prominent guests every Wednesday live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on JMC Broadcasting's backup Rumble channel on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Sign up for JMC's free weekly war report, including notifications of when the Global Financial Reset show is published. The future is bright, and it belongs to us, not to the global elite.
You can survive and thrive this reset transition, but it takes action on your behalf. The Global Financial Reset Workshop Series gives you the tools to get out of the system with confidence.